After a modest start to his NFL career, Michael Thomas has quickly ascended to the elite of the elite when it comes to playing wide receiver in the NFL. Thomas plays with a passion that is rare and valuable, but it comes with a price, as he's recently proven to be not only one of the most wears his heart on his sleeve and says exactly what he feels kind of guys in the entire business, but also maybe a bit thin-skinned. And while it's somewhat refreshing to see that some of the guys playing today aren't completely resigned to the same old politically correct smile and wave kind of press conferences that we've come to expect from today's professional athletes, Thomas hasn't exactly made himself any new friends with his brash assertions. Anyways, if you ask me, I think his pettiness and competitive spirit, if you will, goes back to the beginning of Michael Thomas's NFL journey. After being on top of the world for pretty much his entire football career, he finally ran into what was probably his first stumbling block when he declared for the 2016 NFL Draft. Because then, something changed. After fully expecting to be a first-round pick, the Ohio State wideout had a big-time draft slide. So much so that he fell all the way to the second round, the 47th pick to be exact. It'd be one thing if teams didn't feel they had a need for wide receivers that year. While it would be an anomaly to see no wideouts taken in the first round, demand does shift year over year. But that was clearly not the case in 2016, as 5 wide receivers got taken before Thomas, and that seemed to put an impossibly heavy chip on his shoulder, one that I doubt he will ever shed. So let's take a look back at the 5 other wide receivers who got taken before Michael Thomas and check out where they are today to see if those picks were justified. The first receiver actually didn't come off the board until number 15 overall, when the Browns swapped picks with Tennessee and took Cory Coleman, the shifty 5'11" wide receiver out of Baylor. Coleman had been a steady contributor at Baylor throughout his entire career, before exploding for 74 receptions, 1,363 yards, and 20 touchdowns during his 2015 college season. Coleman smartly capitalized, as his draft stock would likely never be higher than that, and he declared for the 2016 draft. The 2015 Bullitt-Canov Award winner did have some mild injury concerns, as he did undergo a sports hernia surgery at the end of the season. But even so, he was seen to be a legit NFL talent. After all, there wasn't much not to like. He broke 4.4 on his 40-yard dash, recording a 4.39 second trial, and sported a 4.5-inch vertical to help compensate for his somewhat diminutive stature. And to be fair, Coleman looked good during his first season in Cleveland. He got slotted into the starting lineup following Josh Gordon's suspension and had a few solid performances, including a Week 2 outing against the Baltimore Ravens, during which he hauled in 5 catches for 104 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. However, any progress quickly hit the skids when Coleman broke his hand during practice, causing him to miss 6 games. He quickly fell out of favor with Cleveland and returned the favor, demanding to be traded after carrying a diminished role in 2017. The time since has not been too kind to Coleman, who's bounced around various practice squads and only logged 5 total receptions since leaving Cleveland. Time will tell if Coleman can turn it around. After all, he's just 25. But at the end of the day, 61 receptions 4 years into your career after being taken 15th overall is just not gonna cut it. While Thomas still had a ways to wait before he'd see his name on the draft board, it only took 6 more picks for another wide receiver to be taken, as Will Fuller, the explosive deep threat out of Notre Dame, went number 21 overall to the Houston Texans. Interestingly, this kicked off a little mini run of wide receivers getting taken, as the Washington Redskins and Minnesota Vikings proceeded to take wide receivers not named Michael Thomas with the 22nd and 23rd picks respectively. Fuller is the most interesting name on this ominous list, as he's proven to be quite effective when healthy. And that's crucial with Fuller, when healthy, because it seems like he's damn near never healthy. But I digress, because the truth is, when Fuller is healthy, he has a huge impact on the Texans' offense. It seems like he just sort of opens the whole thing up for Deshaun Watson to sling it around the field. So while his career numbers thus far come nowhere close to the production that Thomas has had, considering he's yet to top 700 yards in a single season thus far, it is important to remember that it's largely because of the injuries that plague him. I mean, in 4 years, he's never played a full season, and he's averaged just over 10 games per season, which admittedly isn't the kind of availability you want out of a first-round pick. But when he's on the field, there is no denying his big playability. He has averaged over 14 14 yards per reception for his career, which, considering his target rate when he's on the field, is pretty damn impressive, especially when you take a look at what the two guys taken after Fuller have done in the NFL. I'd rather get 5 games of Will Fuller a year than have both of the wideouts taken 22nd and 23rd for a full season. Yeah, it's that bad. Josh Doctson was taken by Washington at 22 after solid tenure at TCU, during which he put up back-to-back seasons of 1,000-yard and double-digit touchdown, before declaring for the 2016 draft. Doctson's rather meager production is not all his own doing. After all, he did miss pretty much his entire rookie season after aggravating an Achilles injury in Week 3 against the rival New York Giants. That also caused him to miss the majority of the following preseason. And there is no telling exactly how much these physical setbacks have altered his development in the NFL. There is much more that goes into the strategy side of playing wide receiver than most fans would probably like to admit. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of his shortcomings that continue to plague him are in part because of that treacherous first season in the NFL. In the time since rookie season, he has since bounced back a little bit. Emphasis on a little bit. In 2017 and 2018 respectively, he recorded 502 yards and 6 TDs and 532 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sadly for Doctson, this did not prove to be enough for the Redskins to pick up his 5th-year option, and he ended up signing a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings for the 2019 season. However, just like his first year in Washington, injuries quickly became a problem, and within 10 days of signing his deal, he ended up on injured reserve. And what was the sum of his production in 2019? 7 snaps, and not a single reception. Doctson was eventually waived during the season, and now he finds himself in the New York Jets after signing a contract with Gang Green this offseason. Maybe, just maybe, if Doctson can stay healthy and find a system that suits him, his production might start to match his draft projections. I'm not so sure, though, that the same can be said about Laquan Treadwell, who was taken with the following pick by the Vikes, and has probably been the biggest disappointment out of the entire list, especially because so many draft pundits were so high on him, even in spite of his middling combine performance. Current Las Vegas Raiders general manager and former NFL draft analyst Mike Mayock had him listed as the 2nd best receiver in the entire draft, and spoke glowingly about Treadwell following the Vikings selection, saying, "We all know Treadwell ran a 4.65 in the 40 at his pro day, so either you believe in him and his game or you don't. He's a natural hands catcher and will win 50-50 balls. He's also one of the best blocking wide receivers in this draft. He's physical, tough, and has great hands. I think the Vikings got a winner." Well, by calling him a winner, I doubt that Mayock meant 701 yards and 2 touchdowns through 4 seasons. You would be hardly satisfied to get that level of production out of a 5th-round pick, let alone your 1st-rounder. But either way, he has never shown anything that would make us believe he will live up to the hype that he had coming out of Ole Miss. Interestingly, another one of the better receivers taken in this draft class, Sterling Sheppard, who is also the last wideout taken before Michael Thomas, is really the only other one besides Fuller who has had any real hope at the NFL level. So while the Giants probably wish they had Michael Thomas, no one will argue with the value they've gotten out of Sterling Sheppard as a 2nd-round pick. Although Sheppard, like many of his draft mates, has struggled with the injury bug a bit through the first 4 seasons of his career, he has logged at least 57 receptions in each of his first 4 seasons. Not to mention that, unlike his peers, he actually got extended, meaning that the team that drafted him still wanted him. Which sounds rudimentary, but speaks volumes about who Sheppard is as a player. So while Sheppard's selection may be somewhat understandable, in hindsight, it's hard to believe that the Michael Thomas, the current NFL record holder for receptions in a single season, was passed over for guys like him, Will Fuller, Josh Doctson, Cory Coleman, and Laquan Treadwell. And while we don't know for sure if this is the reason that Can't Guard Mike has become such a petty social media personality, I'm hard-pressed to think that it did not play a role in it. All that being said, however, it's pretty clear that Thomas has earned the right to talk a little bit of smack. In 4 surprisingly quick seasons of NFL action, he has already amassed 3 Pro Bowl selections, 2 first-team All-Pros, and led the NFL in receiving yards once and receptions twice. Oh, and his receptions mark of 149 catches in 2019 was good enough to set the NFL single-season record. So yeah, you could say Mike has earned his right to talk trash even though he's just a 4-year vet. And it's not like he hasn't been handsomely rewarded for his astonishing production, as he recently inked an extension position that made him the NFL's first $100 million receiver, and subsequently the highest paid wideout in the league. It is a little strange that he's become so ornery this early into his NFL career. After all, he was drafted into a good situation in New Orleans, one with a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees and a future Hall of Fame head coach in Sean Payton. And before that, he was a standout at Ohio State, a blue blood college program that just so happened to win a national championship during his time there. And it isn't like people are coming out of the woodworks every week trashing Thomas's game. It's pretty common knowledge that he's one of the best players, not just receivers, in the NFL today. So what is it that has this all-pro wide receiver so ready to take it to Twitter to argue about his place in the league? A place that few others were even debating to begin with, I might add. He claims that it's something deeply ingrained in him, that fire, that engine, always pushing him to work harder. At least, that's what he told ESPN when he did his interview for its The Body Issue, saying, "I take doubters real personal." Some people might be like, oh, he's crazy, he takes it personal. But that's what's helping me be in the position that I'm in. That's what's got me to be the person I am. That's what's helped me win a lot of football games. I'm fueled by everything. I'm fueled by all of the opinions. Like, my ears work, and I hear what people are saying. Yeah, Mike, we notice you take doubters pretty personal at this point. Regardless, as long as he keeps lighting up the field on Sundays, common sense dictates he'll probably keep on talking. And Saints fans probably don't mind it one bit. Where do you think Michael Thomas should have been taken in the 2016 NFL Draft? Join us in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.